think this is the most excited I've been for a YouTube video. I mean, look at this, it's amazing. Okay. So today we are going to show you how to make this gorgeous berry mirror glaze. This is all natural, it's made from berry puree, and it just looks so beautiful. You can use it on cupcakes, you can use it on cake, and I'll show you how to make a raspberry mirror glaze and pour it over a cake. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Hi, it's a mirror glaze. Hi bakers, I'm Kye, and today is all about mirror glaze. We're in the studio. I've got an amazing cake assistant on set today, Lydia, who is baking up all these gorgeous cakes, and she developed this recipe for mirror glaze, and I'm gonna tell you all about it and how to make it. It's the smoothness of the Lydia cake that is really just the signature finish. It is all edible and delicious. So let's see how to make raspberry mirror glaze. So the first thing that you need to do is bloom your gelatin, which is just a fancy way of saying pour it slowly over cool water so that it starts to soak up the liquid. You want to pour both of your packets at the same time so that it doesn't incorporate unevenly. So just sprinkle it slowly over the water. Then just whisk it to evenly incorporate the gelatin in the water. And the reason why gelatin is necessary in this recipe is because this is what gives the glaze that binding power to stay on the sides and the top of the cake. And it gives it a little bit of a gel-like quality. So once this is whisked, I'm just going to set it aside while I incorporate my other ingredients. Now it's time to combine the other glaze ingredients. It's worth noting that this recipe, you want to measure your ingredients using a scale and measure by weight if possible, because these ingredients are very balanced in the recipe, and if you have a little bit too much or not enough of something, you might not have that perfectly smooth glaze. So use a scale if you can. So I'm going to measure out the ingredients. These are already scaled out for me. This is 113 grams or half a cup of heavy cream. Now it's time for the star of the show, which is our raspberry puree. You'll need 300 grams, and you can purchase this or you can make your own. We have a tip on the bottom of the recipe page if you want to try making your own. Next, we'll add 39 grams or 2 tablespoons of light corn syrup, and this helps with texture and shine. Mirror glaze has this classic, beautiful shine to it that catches the light, and this is the ingredient that helps with that. And last but not least, for flavor and sweetness, we'll add 270 grams of sugar, just white granulated sugar. It's about 1 1/3 cup. So now I'll stir to combine all of those glaze ingredients, and then I will start to heat it over a low, medium-low heat until it reaches 215 degrees. And this is one of those moments where you want to be precise. Sometimes in baking you can off-road a little bit, but you really want to use a good digital thermometer to make sure that this reaches exactly 215 degrees Fahrenheit. So just heat it nice and slowly and stir the whole time gently, trying not to incorporate air, but just to make sure everything is being heated evenly. So it'll take about 5 minutes for your berry glaze mixture to reach the right temperature, which is 215 degrees. Enjoy the berry scented facial that you're getting while you stir. And it'll start to bubble, and just right when it comes to a boil, that's when you're right about at 215. Take it off the heat. And blast off, 215. So take it off the heat and have your gelatin nearby. Now you're gonna pour this mixture over the bloom gelatin right into your heat-safe bowl. So let the hot berry mixture sit over the bloom gelatin for a couple minutes, and it will start to melt, and then you can begin to stir. So our berry mixture has been sitting for a couple minutes and the gelatin has melted, so I'll just stir to incorporate it. It's really beautiful looking already. And now I'm going to strain it using a fine mesh sieve into a bowl, and you may need to use a rubber spatula to push it through because otherwise it's just a little bit thick. Be careful because the bowl is pretty hot. Remember, your glaze was just boiling, so you can use a towel or hot mitts if you need to. If you have a friend, it is a good opportunity to get extra set of hands in the kitchen. And plus, this is Lydia, who developed this recipe will either be her legacy or will haunt her forever, or both. She can make it.
Thinking haunt.
She can make it without the recipe, just from memory. So this is looking pretty good. I've strained the full mixture. There's not too many residual solids, so I guess you could skip straining if you wanted a more natural look in your glaze, but straining just ensures you won't have any clumps of gelatin that were not incorporated, and it'll also remove any seeds. So next I am going to transfer the mixture to a measuring cup and let it cool. It's easier to put it in a measuring cup because you're eventually going to be pouring it over a cake. It'll take a couple hours to get to the right temperature, which is about 85 to 88 degrees. If you don't have a couple hours and you want to speed up that process, you could put this bowl over an ice bath and whisk it, and it will cool down faster. Or you can do this a couple days in advance, which is one thing that makes this recipe really easy to fit into your schedule. Make sure that when you are stirring your glaze at this point, you want to use a rubber spatula instead of a whisk, because a whisk will incorporate extra air bubbles, which you'll then see in the final glaze. So use one of these trusty tools here. This is the big moment. This is the most exciting part of making mirror glaze, is this pouring over a very dramatic scene. So when you're ready to glaze your cake, you should make sure that it's been in the freezer for at least 30 minutes up to a couple hours so that it's nice and set, because your mirror glaze is going to be slightly warm, 85 to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you don't want the glaze to melt the frosting, so pull it right from the freezer. Have it on a cooling rack over a large rimmed baking sheet with a piece of parchment, since there is going to be some excess that collects in the bottom, and this will help you harvest it and then store it, and you can use it for something else. When you're ready to pour the glaze, start in the very center of the cake and pour a slow, steady stream and work from the center outwards in a circular motion, kind of like a swirl. And the glaze will start to pour over the sides slowly, and you want to make sure that the glaze is fully coating the cake on the sides. So just check, see if there's any areas that need a little excess, and then by the time you've poured your glaze, the whole cake should be evenly enrobed. It only needs to rest for 5-10 minutes before you could start putting additional decorations on it, or you could even leave it out for a couple hours just as is and then serve it. Another way you can use mirror glaze to finish your cake that looks so beautiful and dramatic is to just do a drip, kind of like you would imagine with a chocolate ganache. So this cake is right from the freezer. I'm going to use our blueberry mirror glaze, which has gorgeous flecks in it, and I'm going to pour it from the center out, and I'll stop pouring the glaze once there are some gorgeous drips, but still some of the frosting is showing through. So this is our blueberry drip cake, and next I'll show you how to use our mirror glaze on cupcakes, which also look beautiful and taste delicious. So we've got the full lineup of all the berry flavors here. We've got blueberry, strawberry, blackberry, and raspberry. We found that you can make it using mango fruit puree as well, but otherwise stick with the berries, because then you get some acids from certain fruits and it might break down and not work correctly. But this can give you a full spectrum of color. When you are going to finish your cupcakes with mirror glaze, you want to freeze the cupcakes again for at least 30 minutes so that the frosting is nice and set to the touch. Our mirror glaze is between 85 and 88 degrees, and you're just going to do the dive and make sure that you dunk the cupcake and get all of the sides, and then just kind of rotate it and try to remove any excess. Have confidence that the frosting isn't going to fall off, although if it's not frozen solid, it might. And depending on how thick you want the glaze, you might need to re-dip it, but that looks beautiful to me. It's a nice, beautiful purple. You can see a little bit of frosting just poking through. So we have the full spectrum of berry flavors and colors in our cupcakes, and they just look so good together that we're actually going to combine them and put them all on one cake. So we'll make a tri-color cake next. So you'll need at least 3 different kinds of mirror glaze. So here we have our blueberry, our strawberry, and our raspberry. And I'm going to combine them into one measuring cup, starting with one color in the bottom, and then pouring the next in the very center, and then the next in the center of that. And you don't want to mix or shake this glass at all, because you want them to stay in separate layers. Then I'll pour it over the cake and we'll get this really cool tie-dye effect. It's definitely the finale of Mirror Glaze. I just love how this technique is a little bit like opening a present. You don't really know what you're gonna get, but each cake comes out totally unique and beautiful. This has a really beautiful tie-dye-like swirl on the top. I mean, look at them. Works of art. These are some of the most beautiful cakes I've ever seen, and I can say that honestly because they were perfected by our cake stylist, Lydia Foreigner, who's incredibly talented. And I love how the fruits on top complement the glaze. This is our blackberry glaze. The top of this tricolor one looks like a tie-dye t-shirt, but it's edible and tastes delicious. And the cupcakes look awesome with all the different colors together. The shine on the raspberry is gorgeous. I love the flecks that come through of the blueberry cake with the drips. All together, this is just such a feast for the eyes, and I promise you that it also tastes really delicious too, because it's berries, it's good stuff. If you're thinking you want to try this, just go for it. It's worth it. It's a project, definitely, but it's so worth it. Really Instagram worthy. Take pictures, share them with us. We'd love to see them, and follow along for more cake content, more baking content, and we'll teach you how to make awesome stuff like these stunning cakes.